So hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 225 of Level Up, 60 minutes, of course, of live Q&A, where your questions really do drive the show. If you're watching on YouTube, then you can find out much more about what we do at APMG by visiting our channel, and do give this video a like and, of course, subscribe to find out so much more. Ella today is over in the social chat, so do let her know your name and, of course, the city from where you are joining. She will post some links so that you can vote up the questions that you would most like answered by the panel, and of course for you to be able to add your own as well, which is really important. If your question is selected, then your name is going to appear in the credits at the end of the show. So do get those questions in early and stay with us to see all of that happening. Organizational leadership is sought by many, achieved by some, and probably enjoyed by only a few. As social humans, we can sometimes overlook how experienced we are already in the art of leadership through our volunteering, our home life, and of course through work as well. So how do we manage to retain our true selves, our authenticity, as we take up those leadership roles in the workplace and remain authentic throughout? Helping us figure all of this out, we've got a marvelous panel lined up for you. So let's jump in straight away and introduce them all. Bev Andrews is the director over at Aspire Change Management, who specialise in helping organisations excel through world-class change and project management with a passion to lift people up. Bev is an accomplished leader, mentor and coach, and it's a pleasure to welcome you back to Level Up, Bev.
Thank you, Nick. Hello, everybody. This is going to be a really exciting show today, so I'm very looking forward to it. Can't wait to hear all the different questions we're going to have.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Malini Jayaganesh joined. She is, of course, a strategic advisor and coach at the ITSM Hub, and the director emeritus, actually, at the Business Relationship Management Institute as well. She's passionate about building connections with individuals and teams, and works tirelessly to promote inclusion and recognise diversity across organisations wherever she works in the world. Malini lives the authentic leadership model, I have to say, throughout her career. Welcome back to Level Up, Malini.
Thank you, Nick, for having me on the show and for your kind words. And hello to everyone from around the world who's joining in. Can't wait to hear your questions.
Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed. New to the panel today is Lela. Lela Machaidze is an international consultant and the co-founder of the PMI Tbilisi chapter, spearheading diverse projects. She has researched the use of artificial intelligence with programs of study, including organizations such as MIT and Oxford. As a leader, she's established a 300-strong project community in the Georgia region. So welcome to Level Up, Lela. Great to see you.
Thank you, Nick, for having me here. It is my great pleasure and honor to join such an honorable panelist, and I'll be happy to talk about the topic, which is really dear to my heart. Thank you for having me here.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Lela. Thanks for joining. Completing our panel today are two other folks. First of all, Tomasz Manugiewicz is the general manager at Grand Parade in Poland. With an engineering background, he's held a variety of leadership positions in the IT sector. Tomasz is an agile enthusiast and coach and enjoys working with empowered teams to bring about better outcomes with pace and scale.
Hello, Nick. It's very nice to be here, as always. Welcome, everybody. What I can say at the beginning is just I'm very glad that authentic leadership is now a hot topic, because I think this is what we deserve as a human beings. So glad to be on the panel, and can't wait for the discussion.
Thank you very much indeed. Mart Rovers rejoins today, of course, a familiar face to everybody. He's the president over at INTERPROM, and he's worked throughout his career building communities really from the ground up. You know, he has a background in helping organizations adopt best practice around the world, and principally in the United States and in Europe, where INTERPROM are really influential as to the direction of travel that boards and senior people are taking. A passionate leader himself and coach and mentor. He's a great person to work with and always full of value on the Level Up series. Welcome back, Mart.
Nick, thanks so much for your kind words. And A big welcome to everybody that's joining us. We think authentic leadership is a hot topic, as in this was from the recent days. But I found this quote from John Quincy Adams from the early 1800s. I mean, can you imagine? He was talking about authentic leaders inspire others through their vision, passion, and dedication. He said, they lead by example, empower those around them, and to reach their full potential. I mean, this is old stuff.
It's old stuff, but it's gold stuff as well. There you are. There's another quote right back at you, Mart. First thing on this particular show. So really very good. Well done, panel. Great to see you all. Now, the show doesn't work without a brilliant question master, and I'm delighted that Suchitra Jacob is going to join us today from Bangalore in India. Hi, Suchitra. How are you?
Hi, Nick. Hello to the panelists and our viewers. I'm good, thank you. And I'm also excited for today's topic.
Okay, all right. Now, then, for those of you who don't follow cricket as a national sport, it is arguable that it's not quite another world religion in the UK, but it's arguable that it might be in India. And the Indian cricket team keep thrashing the England cricket team all of the time. So never mind anyway. We'll come back and we'll see what we can do next time around, Suchitra. But in the meantime, I think we should get our first question for the panel ready if we can.
So our first question is from Jody in Newcastle. How would the panel describe an authentic leader?
Okay, so how would you go about putting that metadata, if you like, or what are the attributes of an authentic leader? Mart, why don't you start us off and then we'll hear from Malini.
It's along the lines with John Quincy Adams, I have to say, but it's definitely somebody who leads by principle, by example, somebody who is a high level of integrity and takes ownership of his or her actions, as in owning it, not pointing fingers or just delegating it for the sake of escaping. But that comes to mind as far as authentic leader.
Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed. Malini, your thoughts, please, and then we'll go to Tomasz.
I think Mart touched on a number of great points. And in addition, I think authentic leaders tend to be comfortable in their own skin. So they tend not to get defensive or feel threatened by other people's capability. And so typically authentic leaders will actually develop leaders around them. So they will empower other people to be able to step into their leadership potential.
It's quite an interesting point, really, isn't it, about that feeling comfortable in your own skin. And I think if you can allow your shoulders to drop, metaphorically, when you're doing your work, it's so much better for everybody, really. Nobody likes to work with people who are stressed. I get stressed far too easily. I need to keep working on that myself, I think, Malini. Thank you very much indeed. Tomasz, your thoughts, and then we'll go to Bev.
Yeah, from my perspective, obviously, the aspects that you already mentioned in the panel, it's important. And I see three more. The first one is to be brave and to have a courage to show up as we truly are. Because authenticity is all about, predictability, is all about delivering the results, but it's also about showing us we truly are with our true selves, making mistakes sometimes, So being an authentic means be brave. And also vice versa, if people are brave enough to show up as they are truly are, we need to be empathetic to understand that and to appreciate that, and not to blame, not to finger point other mistakes. So braveness, courage, and being empathetic.
Thank you very much. Yeah, being brave and being empathetic and being open. I'm getting all of these things. I think sometimes when I look on LinkedIn, and there was a period last year, wasn't there, where they used to produce posts with two columns, one full of red crosses and then the other one full of green ticks and this kind of thing. And I think you would need to be a saint in order to be able to fulfill all of the green tick. But I agree with you, Tomasz. It's much, much better to be yourself and accept you're going to make mistakes. People make mistakes all of the time, and you don't suddenly become, free of error when you're given a leadership role. That does not happen overnight. So excellent point. Thank you very much indeed. Bev, your thoughts, and then we'll hear from Lela.
Oh, you're spot on, and some great thoughts there from the panel already. I like Malina's around being comfortable in your skin. You're in a good spot, and you can just be yourself, which means being vulnerable, and you can have jokes at your own behalf. It's about being humble, listening to people. It's not about playing a role, So if you feel that you actually are it's exhausting being a leader, then maybe you're trying to overdo it, and just relax and be yourself. And people will then see the authenticity behind what you're saying and doing.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. Great points, well made. Lela, final thoughts on this one?
All the great thoughts and all the great ideas. But when I was preparing for this show, I thought what it really means to be authentic leader when AI is here and we all think about the automation stuff, about layoffs, and being a leader in the position when you have all these new things coming in the plate. And what really stood out for me are three main pillars, which I love, and I'm repeating to myself. This is the first is that humanity is the core for everything. And humanity includes in itself the emotional intelligence, empathy, focus on values and purpose, and as well as transparency and the trust. And trust, I believe, is everywhere. The second pillar, which I love for authentic leaders and for myself, is adaptability and learning, and being flexible, adapt to the new circumstances. And the third pillar, which is very important to me for the authentic leaders, this is to empower others. This is not about only ourselves, but about the others and the people we work with. So those are main three pillars that I was thinking.
Thank you very much, Adina. I think that humanity element is very important. We may well return to that. In an era where increasingly workflow and automation can take the place of, some of those social interactions between human beings, making sure that the human dimension is put forwards and is visible and evident to others is a super important element. So thank you very much indeed, Lela. If you are joining us today on YouTube or on LinkedIn, then do please introduce yourself in the social chat. Just start off with your name and the city from where you're joining. That would be great. And then Ella will pick that up from there. Okay. And if you do have a question that you'd like to put to the panel, then just type the question in and the team will pick that up and bring it in. In the meantime, Suchitra, I can see that we've already got quite a lot of questions. So let's jump into the next question, please.
Our next question is from Mark Rosner. Much is talked about servant and authentic leadership. How would you compare and contrast the two?
Oh, this is a good question, isn't it? Thank you, Mark, for being able to phrase it so elegantly as well. So servant leadership, authentic leadership. In the world of agile, servant leadership really came to the fore. Tomasz, what are your thoughts on comparing and contrasting those two?
Yeah, that's a really great point of view and great question that was asked. Have some differences. First things first, the servant leader needs to be an authentic leader, needs to pay attention of the needs of others and help them, right? So this is the commonality. But sometimes, as an authentic leader, you need to say, hey, this one is for you. I'm not able to help you with that. Or I delegated it to you. I can help you, but you are accountable for it. So in that sense, as an authentic leader, you need to be brave enough to set up the expectations, not only to be, like a good uncle saying, yes, everything will be fine and so on. But the leadership is also about setting up the accountabilities for people. So I think the main difference is this one, that you need to have emotional intelligence and be empathetic to be a servant leader. But at the same time, you need to show your boundaries and your expectations to people.
Thank you very much indeed. We might come back to that, because if you're not careful, then that getting that balance right between being out in front and visible, and also being an enabler, a supporter, somebody who elevates others, who lifts them up, if you like, is super important to get that right. Bev, you've helped an awful lot of people figure out, find their personal way of leading in organizations. What are your thoughts on servant and authentic leadership styles?
So, when you think of servant leadership, you're thinking about the importance of the community and the team around you, and helping them to make the decisions, and to own and to be accountable, just as my previous panelist said. The main commonality is that you need to be humble in doing that. But you're there for them. So it's not, servant leadership isn't about delegating and walking away and just coming back and going like, well, how did you go? It's very much about being present with them as well, and supporting them. So you're sort of working around and underneath to lift your team up.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. And that accessibility and proximity as well, and responsiveness, I think, might be a part of that. Something that increasingly in our busy lives, we're often challenged to do. Mart, what are your thoughts?
Just quickly, and scientifically, of course, what I'm going to say is not quite true, but authentic leadership, I think the focus is much more on yourself as a starting point. A servant leader is much more focused on his or her team, the well-being of the team, the growth of the team. In other words, the leader is there to serve the team, and not so much what we always think the other way around.
Thank you very much. And it's such an important part, isn't it? You might have the slightly grander job title, but in reality, it's very much about everybody else. It's not about you; it's about other people. Lela, final thoughts on this one?
I think servant leadership and being authentic leader does not conflict with each other. I believe in our core, if we go deeper and ask those 5 whys, we always get into the core, or that we are all servant leaders. And being authentic is related to our fears of the way we came through our life. And I remember one short case, you mentioned in the intro that I established a community of project managers in Georgia. And it was the first case, and it was very dear to my heart. I really cared about it. But then after 8 years of being in a leadership role, I realized that I needed some break. And in order for me to stay in a good servant position, as well as to be authentic and have my own values, I had to step up and give new blood the road and path, so they develop on their own. So it was a combination for me to be authentic to myself and others, and serve others. Sometimes stepping up is also being authentic to others.
I agree with that, and you can see this in real time, often in volunteering in organizations outside of the workplace. People who are founders, who are serial founders, often don't have the right skills to be able to then take a community onto the next level. And I'm just speaking from my own personal experience, really, of working with a number of different, community projects throughout my life. People who are going to start or initiate or ignite are not always the right people who then should be those who are actually building on that start foundation, if you like, and taking it to the next level. So it's the right thing to do. It's a very courageous thing to do as well, Lela, to actually step away from something that you're passionate about in order for it to be able to mature and grow and develop in a different way. So very good indeed. Thank you so much indeed, panel. What a great question, Mark. So really appreciate that. So let's jump over to social and see who we've got as our production team online. You are, of course, shaping the show, and Mark's question has already done that for us. So hi, Mark. Thank you very much indeed for joining. And thank you for using Slido as well, Mark, to enter your questions in directly. We really do appreciate that. Cindy Hancock joins. She's over in Johannesburg, and I think, if I'm being told correctly, is going to join us in the future as a panelist on Level Up. So welcome, Cindy. Great to have you joining from that wonderful city. And also we have Tayo, who is joining again from Birmingham, a regular viewer and participant. So thank you very much indeed for joining us today. Do introduce yourself in the chat if you're watching on LinkedIn, and also get your questions in so that we can schedule them for the panel to answer. All right, very good. Suchitra, if we can, we're going to press on. Let's take our next question, please.
The next question is from Cindy. Can you discuss the importance of vulnerability in authentic leadership, and how can leaders balance vulnerability with maintaining authority?
This is an interesting one, isn't it, really? You need to be open, in order to be able to, if you like, connect with people. But at the same time, you do need a little bit of resilience about you, don't you? Because leadership is not every decision that you're going to take is going to be a popular decision. And so therefore you need to be somewhat open to being criticized from time to time. Malini, what advice would you give on maintaining that kind of balance and yet showing you're a human being?
I'm reminded of a leader that I once worked with, who I think they were making a very intentional effort to be authentic, and so they would share their failures, and that's all they did. That's all they talked about, right? And I think they probably did that excessively because over time it actually eroded their credibility as a leader. So I think we have to be very careful when we say, you have to be comfortable in your own skin, and you have to accept that you're not perfect, and then that you feel comfortable to share, your failures. You also need to frame it in a way that it shows what strengths you actually gained from that experience. What did you learn, and how have you become stronger? And you do so in a respectful and assertive way. I think that's something that we have to be very careful about.
Yeah, I think that you're right. Assertion is an important element in that mix for being able to preserve the integrity of thought, and also, I guess, to avoid flip-flopping from one directional approach to an alternative, just because the former is unpopular, if that makes sense. So we might come back and explore that a little further in a few moments. Lela, your thoughts, please, and then we're going to go to Mart.
I think to having a balance, first of all, we as a humans have to have a balance, and therefore we should learn more every day about ourselves, and it goes in line with emotional intelligence, because the environment is changing, we are changing, our responses are changing, but this core authentic self stays within us, and it is very obvious for the audience, for the people, for the teams, for the organizations, how honest you are and how you trust yourself. So I would dedicate more time to reflect on your authenticity, as well how authentic and how transparent you are with the teams.
Thank you very much indeed. Really, really important. Appreciate that. Let's go to Mart then, please, and then Bev.
Yeah, being vulnerable, if it's based on, self-awareness, your self-esteem, your self-compassion, self-acceptance, then I wouldn't worry too much about the authority. I would say, don't rely too much on your positional power, as in, I have this title and therefore I have this authority. That won't last long. That authority needs to come from who you are as a leader. And I just mentioned a few character traits. So in other words, be vulnerable, be yourself. That earns a lot more trust than you relying on your title.
Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed. Bev, your thoughts, and then we'll hear from Tomasz.
I think it's important that we understand for ourselves what we think vulnerability means and the perception of it. I think that, earlier it was sort of seen as, almost taking a healthcare day as a sickie, as opposed to really opening up and building trust on being honest. We don't, as leaders, being vulnerable is around saying that I don't necessarily have the answers for something, or it could be sharing some information around yourself that in the past you might not have done so. But it's also around being vulnerable is doing the difficult things when others might be hesitant to do so. So speaking up to stand up for values or the belief of the team or the purpose, that's making you vulnerable in other ways as well. And that doesn't undermine your authority. That actually enables you to build trust, and people build that respect around not just your actions, but your words as well.
Yeah, indeed. And I think that was a word that everyone was hinting at. And you're the first really to talk about it, to gain other people's respect. It doesn't come with, in a box with the appointment. You have to actually win it. You need to invest in people so that you do win it over time. Thank you very much indeed. Tomasz, your thoughts, please.
Yeah, so summarizing it a little bit, it's like definitely we need to maintain the balance between vulnerability and authenticity and authority. When I think about that, authority can be built based on the vulnerability, because if people see that we are brave enough to be vulnerable, they can have the respect for us, and the authority can be built. However, also saying no, it's important. You mentioned about assertiveness, right? That you are brave enough not only to say to admit your mistakes, but you are brave enough to say no, or to make some unpopular decisions, right? And the last part, which is important for me, is delivering the result. So we as leaders, obviously, we deliver results through others. So inspiring others to do such things, motivate them, lead by example. But if our organization can deliver results, it means that we are able to set expectations, set boundaries, say no sometimes, make unpopular decisions. And if we are able to do so and still be vulnerable and admit your weaknesses, that's the balance we would like to have. So concrete results in the organization is something that also can support authority.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Tomasz. I completely agree with you. Now, one thought for you, Cindy, to consider about this vulnerability and so on is to use different questioning techniques. There's a really good book that I have to say I'm working through at the moment, okay, which is called The Answer is a Question. The banana there is for scale. If you're looking for the book online, sometimes it's a bit tricky to figure out just how much of a weighty tome these things are. It's written by a brother and sister combination, Laura and Dominic Ashley Timms, and it actually forms the basis for a new certification from APMG, which is being brought in kind of throughout 2024. So do look out for that. And it talks about the importance of using questioning techniques as a manager or a leader in order to be able to build that authenticity and build that buy-in to what is actually going on. So rather than saying what the answer is, actually ask a better question is the mantra, I think, to be, if I'm can somewhat tritely summarize the approach, is the way to go forward with it. So do have a little look at that and find out more about it. You can find out a lot more, obviously, over on the APMG website. Just follow that QR code that we shared. Excellent. Well, look, very good. Thank you so much, Cindy, for your question. It's a great question. And thank you, panel, for your thoughts on that. Let's move on if we can. And we'll take our next question to the panel, please. Suchitra.
Our next question is from Ilona Kasinska. As an authentic leader, what are your non-negotiables in business or relationships?
Having boundaries. And Ilona, again, is a regular contributor to the Level Up community. So thanks for the question, Ilona. A big shout out to you. I really appreciate that. Malini, why don't you start us off and then we'll hear from Bev.
What a great question, Ilona. I think from my perspective, I would say it's the focus on values. As an authentic leader, I take a values-based approach, and I would expect people that I'm working with to also respond in the same way. Tomasz, earlier used the word integrity. It's absolutely critical, and organizational values. They actually serve as a moral compass for us. They help us to make, ethical decisions. And I think all the other things that we talked about, such as respect, for example, also fall into that bucket. I would find it very, very I would not be able to, I would not feel comfortable with myself if I did not demonstrate values-based behaviors.
Yeah, absolutely right. Thank you very much indeed, Malini. Bev, your thoughts, please. Then we'll go to Tomasz.
Mine's very simple and straightforward, really. If I think of the non-negotiables, particularly in the business space, is always supporting and having the back of your people. I think that really shows that you're role modeling and you're living to your values, you're living to the values you expect your team to live to. If things aren't going well and you hear things or you see things, it's around jumping in and showing them that they've got your support, and they might not do things right all the time, but they need to know that you've got their support and you will take them through that journey with them.
Yeah, absolutely true. Being able to be that close as well and connected to intervene in a timely fashion and to reflect on things and to, kind of call the team together almost and say, look, I know it's been a really hard week. I know that this happened and that happened. And that demonstrates that connectivity, doesn't it, between the leadership and, the broader team, and recognizing people often do their very best work, when things go wrong. You see it so many times, don't you? Excellent customer service, rescue a situation that was going horribly wrong and out of control and bring it back again. Now, that would not have happened if it was all going swimmingly. It was all going really, really well. So it is an opportunity to truly shine when things go wrong and demonstrate that leadership. Thank you very much indeed, Bev. Very good point. Tomasz, your thoughts, please, and then we're going to hear from Lela.
From my perspective, mutual respect is the non-negotiable. If you are vulnerable, if you show your authentic self, you need to have people who have the respect, who respect you. And also, if you see that people are vulnerable in front of you, you need to respect them as well. So as simple as that sounds for us as a people, as a human beings, but mutual respect is a non-negotiable for me.
Yeah, it's such an important thing. Recently, some of my colleagues in our business went on some bereavement counselling training. And it was something that I wouldn't have thought, knowing the people, that they particularly needed, because they've always been very empathetic and very supportive and so on and so on. But they invested in that specialism because they wanted to try and get that right and continuously improve that and make sure that that was a service that could be provided properly to colleagues within the organization. So thank you very much indeed, Tomasz. Lela, your thoughts, and then we'll hear from Mart.
One thing that comes to my mind is integrity and why I think about it. Just recently, last week, I had a case with one of my consulting company, and where there was like mistrust or tension because of this new development of AI, or lots of automation is coming. So what was happening is the integrity was lost in the team. And what I mean by integrity, the leader of the team, the manager, was giving the message to the team completely different from whatever she was doing in reality. And it completely broke the integrity of the team, the trust that she has built. So it is very, very sensitive to build this integrity in your team. And in one day, by just maybe, I don't know, unintentional mistake to break it, that's where you really need the transparency. Then you as a leader to come and say, yes, I was wrong, and don't afraid of being mistaken. So integrity and transparency are the key for me.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. That doesn't really break the cohesion down, within a group of people. And you need a cohesive team if it's to be a team and not just a collection of individuals, all kind of using a lot of energy to collide with each other instead of work with each other. Thank you very much indeed. Mart, final thoughts on this?
Just to build on what Lela said, for me, it's all about trust. As a leader, you need to earn trust, and that takes time and effort. That does not, again, come because of your title. And I want to refer to something that the BRM Institute has put forward. They literally have a relationship maturity model that they came up with. And the further you progress in that model, the more trust exists within that relationship. So as an authentic leader, to me, it's as in you have to earn that trust. And that you do that by leading by example. And again, actions speak louder than words. And Lela was referring to that, as in if your actions say something else, you don't earn that trust. And trust is key to earn that as an authentic leader.
Thank you very much indeed. Trust is absolutely key to be able to operate properly at all levels of an organization, and critically in leadership roles. Completely agree with that. Thank you, Mart. Excellent. Well, very good. Thank you, Ilona, for a brilliant question as ever. Suchitra, if we can, let's move on. We'll take our next question to the panel, please.
Our next question is from Michelle Morgan. What are some strategies for junior leaders to manage the relationship with more senior leaders? That is managing up.
Managing up organizations can be super tricky, can't it? It reveals, if you like, the fissures that are there already in established or yet to be established relationships, and what we might need to be able to do to address those. Bev, how do you coach people to manage up? Is this something that comes up, for you and in your organization?
It does, actually, particularly when you're dealing with change and, you're wanting to get your sponsors or your senior leaders to engage more in the change and have a bigger impact. And you've got, maybe a communication or a change analyst trying to sort of get in front of someone who's, way up the chain. How do you get them to buy in and even get in front of them? So it's really around when you think of leaders and how to engage them, what's important for them, what's in it for them, what's their priorities, what's their goals, why would they be interested in listening to you? And when it's a direct line manager, you've actually got the opportunity to get in front of them on a semi-regular basis, because you can give them information, you can have one-on-ones, you can, pass them in the corridor, that type of stuff. It's a bit easier to sort of gently start to manage up. It's a lot harder when they're really senior people and they're not doing what they said they would do. That's a lot harder. And that's when you would start looking at some of the influencing skills, the people around them that they actually have relationships with. How do you actually bridge that gap from the fact that that person is, 6 levels above me and very senior? How do I actually get onto the radar or get somebody else onto the radar to actually help manage up? So it does depend on where the relationship sits, and then the type of what is that engagement and that communication? What does that need to be to see if they can actually do that or not? So that's the first thing I look at. Do you have direct control or is it indirect?
Thank you very much. Direct or indirect is a good mantra, kind of mapping almost, isn't it? To have a little think about and make some notes on. Yeah, thank you very much indeed. Yeah. Malini, your thoughts, please. Then we'll go to Lela.
So all the challenges which Bev outlined for change managers apply to business relationship managers as well, because we often have to influence people over whom we do not have any positional authority, and it can actually be incredibly tricky. Like Bev said, if you have to get the attention, let alone change the mind or influence the thinking of a very very senior person. So when I coach leaders, and I encourage them, to be more effective and authentic, I actually suggest that they consider reverse mentoring. So see if, as an organizational practice, whether they would actually consider, having some mentoring sessions with junior leaders or aspiring leaders, and actually learn from their experience. And that actually paves the way for the junior leaders also to get better at learning how to ask for the support that they need.
I agree with that. I think it was Bayard Rustin who really fought for social justice and civil rights, who talked about speaking truth to power. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the elements of this reverse mentoring is that if you're going to build that in, you need to empower people to speak truth. You need to do that. You need to create this environment in which people can speak their truth, because without that, I think there is a tendency sometimes for people to almost tell the more senior person what it is that they believe that they want to hear. And that's not always helpful. That can further isolate, the stakeholder or the C-suite executive, or, even your line manager. It can isolate your line manager from reality if you continue to do that on an ongoing basis. So thank you, Malini. Really, really thought-inducing comments from you. Thank you. Tomasz, your thoughts on this, please.
I have one point to add to that, what was said here. And the strategy for the senior leaders to manage the relationship is to focus on themselves. So to speak with them and give them the empathy and show them that we are truly interested in them, in their goals, how to help them, how to support them. Because they have a lot of people who are reaching out to them just to get some benefits or to get some approvals or to convince them to do something, to give the approvals, to give them a budget money and so on. So they may be, frustrated, or maybe not frustrated, but they have enough people that want to just do the business with them. And what they are lacking, I also see that as well, is that we lack people who really have the interests in ourselves, how to help us, how to find this mutual benefit, what I was saying before. So, and also for junior people, they need to be brave enough to say, hey, I'm here to help you. How can I help you? Giving the open question rather than, coming with a minutiae, I did that, I did that, I want that, I want this decision, right? So this is about thinking about senior leaders as human beings that we would like to support and help and just be with them.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Tomasz. Lela, your thoughts, please, on this one.
Just to continue the discussion about this reverse mentorship, we as leaders already doing it without knowing that we are doing the reverse mentorship. The same as we were using AI a long time ago without even probably realizing that we are already using AI. Reverse mentorship, all of us probably in this chat and who listens us on live has used the choice from their kids, even from 3 or 4 years old, that you're just asking them how to operate your smartphone and they discover something. So there is nothing to be ashamed to ask your colleague to give some advice about new techniques and tools. As for when we talk about the junior leaders guide, there is no one answer, I believe, because we talk global, right? In global, we have to consider the cultural difference, culture of the organization, and all of those stuff. For example, one simple example, I love examples. Last week, I had one meeting with my client in Middle East, and we were sitting all together, and the one junior leader who was around the table, she was always just quiet, not asking the question. She was not proactive. So I was like, why she's not asking? It's not in my culture to be quiet. We always ask proactively the questions. But then I realized that this is the culture, not step up and ask the questions loudly in front of these huge leaders and C-level CEOs. That's what I figured out. And then I was just asking her directly, and she has very insightful answers. So we probably have to realize those cultural differences and go forward to seek their responses.
Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed. It's such a critical element, isn't it, of helping organizations develop these future leaders, an academy of leadership, if you like, to facilitate really, really well. And we had an exciting episode about facilitation recently, and I would recommend it, for people to go back and look at as a reference. So excellent. Thank you very much indeed, panel. And thank you to Michelle for a great question. Time is kind of working against us a little, Suchitra. So if we can, let's have our next question to the panel, please.
The next question is from you, Nick. In an area of increasing automation, should leaders be embracing artificial intelligence or be frightened of it?
And I see both happening in equal measure, all right, in the articles that you read in print and online and so on. So just really interested in the panel's views. Is this the moment to still consider it as something, to be a little bit concerned about and leave for the future, or should we be jumping in and embracing it right now? Mart, start us off.
Well, do you think you can escape AI? I mean, it's here. It won't go away anytime soon. Yeah, definitely embrace it. There's already plenty of examples where it is automating tasks and not automating away jobs. Let's not go there. Definitely tasks being automated and being made more efficient with the help of AI. I recently posted a blog about the relationship between AI and business relationships. And some research was done, and it actually made a point that AI actually can thrive or thrives much better when you also take care of business relationships, how it feeds into your AI system and it feeds into AI being of value to you. So definitely embrace it and don't run away from it.
Thank you very much. I did love the book recommendation there. So thank you. We'll read up on the blog post that you've put forward. Sorry, it was a blog recommendation, wasn't it? Thank you, Mark. I've not read that one yet, so I look forward to reading that. Bev, your thoughts, please, and then we're going to go to Lela.
Well, because it's a change, we will naturally want to run away from it as opposed to embracing it. I think we see far too many things that make us feel it is going to take over our jobs and we're going to turn into numb, brainless robots ourselves. So I think the biggest thing is starting small, and this is coming from me and I'm a dinosaur, starting small and looking at where you can introduce it into your world through work or within your team, so that you're getting the value of not having to do a lot of the manual, low value things, that you can focus on other things. And that's where AI really can help us, take away all this heavy work that doesn't really give us any value, but then allows us to do things that we're really good at, which is why the business relationships and building partnerships and the people connection, that is the part that is so important, that only we can do, because we're humans.
Agreed.
And we need
Agreed.
it. Right? So we've got to look at, how do we make this technology work for us? And then how do we actually then fill the gap of the space and time that we make to build connections and become more powerful with innovation and creativity and purpose and all those really meaningful things for humans.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you very much indeed, Bev. Now, Lela, my somewhat clumsily phrased question, I know that you've done a lot of work on this and researched this a great deal. This is really one of your areas of expertise. But people do kind of put these two things together, don't they? They put together the world of robotic process automation and artificial intelligence in the same sentence quite often, even though they are distinct disciplines. What are your thoughts? Should we be embracing it right now, or is it too early?
In 1970s, there was a big hype, as most of you know, about the artificial intelligence. And everybody got so excited about the robotics, and everybody thought that tomorrow I will have a robot in my home just cleaning and doing all that stuff didn't happen. And all this created such a big skepticism. And it was called the artificial intelligence inflation, right? So whatever we are doing, probably we just have to, first of all, balance our expectations, balance expectations of others in the team, in the organization. What I mean by that? I know lots of organizations restrict by the policies use of artificial intelligence. But how are you going to leverage or protect your environment if you don't know with what you're dealing with? At least you have to have an understanding what it's all about. All the scientists are really concerned about the future, to put it that way, because we don't know what is coming. We don't know what will be the future and how the artificial intelligence will be behaving. That's why we are really thinking about putting humanity in the first place. Being human is the core of everything. And then whatever tools we are developing, whatever, digital transformations we do, it all should serve the humanity. This should be our mantra from today. Will it bring a lot of productivity? Yes, it will. And it will, as Matt said, it won't go anywhere. It's here. Can you imagine that the world goes everywhere without TV, radio, or this stuff? No, it won't go anywhere. It's here. We should be step by step going with it, learning as fast as possible, because it is much faster than we imagine. Everybody
Absolutely.
expected that video transformation, text to video transformation, to come in 2028. And now here we are in 2024, it's here. So we have to embrace, but be also cautious and have humanity in mind.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Very clear and very concise. Appreciate that. So, Tomasz, your thoughts, and then Malini.
Yeah, I have just one quick thought that interacting with AI can help us being more humans. How it can help us? I have the observation. I'm from IT, engineering background, and so we, as a developers, as engineers, we speak with the computers in the programming language, right? So we write the code, compile it, and so on. And now, for example, let's put it, like ChatGPT as an example. You need to interact with the machine in the human language, right? In the natural language right now. And I observe, even for myself, difficulties in writing the comments or writing a prompt engineering, let's put it that way, to ChatGPT, because I have this way of thinking with the comments and procedures. Write this. Please prepare that. Right? Very short sentences. Just tasks. And for ChatGPT, you need to elaborate more. You need to be more creative. You need to describe what you can describe what you would like to achieve, and so on. So it can, in development environment and for development people, it can actually help in embracing this natural language and thinking through being more authentic as a people who express their thoughts to the machine. So in that sense, I think that interacting with the AI can help us be more humans as well.
Thank you very much indeed. Appreciate that. Thank you. And Malini, final thoughts on this?
Very quickly, Nick, I just wanted to say leaders should also be very mindful of how their employees and colleagues are also responding to this, because there's probably a lot of fear about people, the people may have, that they might lose their jobs or that their work environment is going to change in a very significant way. And I think authentic leaders should be mindful of that and try and build the resilience capacity of other people in their organization.
Yeah, I completely agree. And one of the ways in which we can do that is to actually deliver on that promise that people are our most valued asset in an organization by helping them develop skills that take them beyond the present moment, and into an era where they can deliver excellent customer service through the way in which they engage with people, and allow the computers to be able to deliver to them in a packaged fashion, in near real time, the data that they need to be able to make informed decisions. So there's a harmony there, but there isn't one if you simply don't invest in upskilling your own people to be the differentiator that they have been in the past. They need to retain that differential in the future. Otherwise, your competitors are going to encroach on what was traditionally your own business space. So investing in things like relationship management skills, in all of those emotional intelligence areas of what being human is, and the authenticity at work and so on, they're really imperative, I think, for people when they're planning their L&D spend for this year and next year. So thank you very much indeed, panel. Well, I think that we're kind of running out of time. So I'm going to move to closing remarks now and get some reflections from the panel on today's event. If I may, Tomasz, I'll come to you first and then we'll hear from Bev.
Yeah. Great panel today. A lot of great discussions, great thoughts. And I think that putting the importance of being an authentic leader is the way forward. So I really appreciate that was the topic of today's panel.
Thank you, Tomasz. It was great to see you again as well. Thank you for your contribution. It's been great. Bev, your thoughts, and then Mart.
Thanks, Nick. Thank you, everybody. I know this sort of topic can go for hours. I think we've got some real nuggets there, and I think it's probably a part 3 coming up for later in the year as well. But really great, interesting, diverse responses from our panelists. So thanks, Nick.
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed, Bev. Mart, and then Malini.
We had some great questions indeed, Nick. So thank you for the audience to pose this to us. I found this quote from Parker Palmer. I think that kind of sums it up. I abbreviated a little bit. The power of authentic leadership is found in the human heart.
Thank you very much indeed. A very resonant form of words for us to kind of conclude on. Appreciate that. Malini and then Lela.
Thank you for having me as part of this really exciting conversation. I have a book recommendation. The title of the book is Humans Are Underrated. The name of the author escapes me, but I'll find that in just a minute to share the link.
Humans are underrated. Thank you so much indeed. Yeah, we're scrambling to find that as well. So we'll do that. And thank you very much indeed, Malini. Lela, your thoughts, please.
Thank you very much, Nick. It was really, really insightful discussion. Lots of very, very deep questions and responses. It would take probably days to discuss each of those topics, and I'm really inspired. And what really inspires me, the topic about authentic leadership. And we start talking about this more and more as we need more and more authentic leaders and empower each other. Thank you for organizing all this, and thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much indeed. We're just getting that link for the audience. Suchitra, your reflections on today, please.
It's been a great show, Nick, and I agree with Bev. We definitely will have part 2 and part 3 coming up because we have that many questions left to answer. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. We will get that link through to the audience before we finish, I promise you. Well, on behalf of our panel to the audience online, thank you very much indeed for asking such brilliant questions. You absolutely drive the show. So without questions, well, we simply wouldn't have anything to talk about. So we really do appreciate it. And also, likewise, from the audience's perspective as well, thank you to every member of the panel today, and of course our question master, for coming together in the way that you have and giving your time so generously. We really do appreciate it. So thank you very much indeed. Great job, everybody. Now, over on the APMG website, you may, of course, search for answers to more than 2,200 questions. It's totally free of charge, and it connects you with 300 experts now from all over the world. And don't forget that you may listen to the audio versions of the shows on your preferred podcast platform. Just search for APMG International, Level Up Your Career, and you will find us easily enough. Coming up this Wednesday on the 21st of February, APMG is hosting a webinar on amplifying agile with neuroscience. Now, for the times and registration details and so on, do look at the events page on our website. On the same day, we've got an event exploring how FIT-SM may act as the glue for adopting SIAM, and that's one for the service managers around the world. That's at 2:30 UK time. Again, all of the details are on the website. This Friday, the 23rd at 2 p.m. here on Level Up, we're going to be looking at how to become a bid and proposal professional, something that everybody's asked to contribute to, and few people actually figure out that there's some great education and training to help you on your journey there and win better business. It's the first in our series on this topic this year. So bookmark that one and have it in your diary and join us here online. Don't forget, head over to the YouTube channel, give this video a like, please, and subscribe. And just ask us, and we will send you a personal summary of what's coming up and how you too can join us here on the panel and level up your career with APMG. Thanks very much indeed, everybody. We'll see you next time.